Today is October 10th, and this happens to be part 48 of our study of the ministry of Jesus. Well, if you remember from yesterday, Jesus took Peter, James, and John up into a high mountain and was there transfigured, transformed before them. His face shone bright as the sun, and his clothes glistened white as the snow, it says. Well, what we write there, it occurred to me that this glory of Jesus, when he was resurrected and appeared to the apostles and other disciples, this is not what he looked like. He looked just like a regular man. So what's the difference? Here, transformed into all this glory, and then after his resurrection and appeared to people, looked just like anyone else. Well, evidently here on the Mount of Transfiguration, he was shown in all of his heavenly glory. And he could not do that after his resurrection to show himself to people, because that would not have been what he needed to do at the time. That would have scared everyone to death. And speaking of scaring people, Peter, James, and John were scared to death. And remember, Jesus was joined by Moses and Elijah. And they talked about Jesus' coming death. Both of them, of course, were prophets, and they had told about things coming, and I expect he explained to them things that they didn't really understand when they were alive on earth. And I'm sure they encouraged him while they were talking to him. So here's Peter, James, and John, and of course Peter's got to say something. So he says, "Oh, it's good for us to be here. Let's make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah." Now the word tabernacle here doesn't mean anything like, it means a temporary dwelling, like a tent or a booth that was made to temporarily keep the sun off of you, keep the rain off of you, just made some sticks or poles and some leaves, similar to what the Jews practice today when they celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. So what he's saying is, let's keep this thing going. Let's keep them here for a while. Let's make a place for them to stay so they'll stay longer. Now they were afraid. Who wouldn't be? And then a cloud overshadowed them. A cloud surrounded them. You remember, it was a cloud that led the children of Israel out of Egypt. It was a cloud on top of Mount Sinai where God appeared to Moses. It was a cloud that filled the tabernacle when it was dedicated. It was a cloud that filled the temple, Solomon's temple, when it was dedicated. When Jesus left this earth and went back to heaven, he was caught into a cloud. When Jesus comes at the resurrection and the rapture, it says we'll be caught up in the clouds with him. And there's several places in the New Testament, Jesus said when he comes back again, he's coming in a cloud. So this cloud represents the presence, the very presence of God. So they're surrounded by God's presence, by this cloud. And a voice speaks to them out of the cloud and says, "This is my beloved Son, hear him, listen to him, understand what he says, pay attention." That's what he's saying. So God spoke. And so when the cloud left, then only Jesus was left, and he was back again to his normal self. And he told the disciples, or Peter, James, and John, he said, "Don't tell anyone about this until the Son of Man is risen from the dead." Well, they didn't understand that because that was not their concept. Jesus had been trying to explain to them that he was going to have to die and be raised from the dead, but that just wasn't clicking with them. They just didn't understand what that was all about. But of course, later they did understand, and of course they did tell the story, because that's how we have it, is because they told the story. Well, that is Jesus and Peter and James and John on the Mount of Transfiguration. So we will stop there for today, and we will pick up again tomorrow with the travels of Jesus and what he did. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day today.